executive board member. And then so then number one is board treasurer and library director. Number two is 2 members of the executive committee of the board. And number three is library director and branch manager. So any one of those 3 combinations after approval, they all have to be after approval. So that way, that's standardized is when the green flag happens, and it doesn't change just because I'm president. I still have to make sure that the green report is.
I got you. Can I make one amendment, please?
Yeah.
To your the first category, or the first 2 combinations. You said board treasurer and director. Could we say board treasurer or executive committee member?
Yeah, and then that would probably clean up the language for number 2.
So the signatures may be board treasurer or executive committee member, or any executive committee member and director.
Okay.
Number 2 could be 2 executive committee members. And number 3 is library executive director and 1 branch manager.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I do say so myself, great job.
I will say that there's lots of wordsmithing to be done in this policy manual, so
Oh,
good on you.
oh, cool.
All right, so recommendation is to change 2C to say, checks are to require 2 signatures. The signatures may be 1, board treasurer or any executive committee member plus the director. 2 would be any 2 executive committee members. Or 3, library executive director and 1 branch manager. After the AP report approval by any executive committee member.
We're almost there.
Okay.
Okay. So I think what we want to say is, that's perfect. I think we just want to swing that last sentence following approval. Read that last sentence again. After approval.
After AP report approval by any executive committee member.
Okay, what if we started C with following approval of following AP report approval, checks are to require 2 signatures. 1 by blah blah blah, 2 by blah blah blah, 3 by blah blah blah. That way that doesn't have, it's not a fragment following the 3rd one, and we don't really know in 2029 if it applies only to number 3.
Okay, this is what I have now. Following the AP report approval by any executive committee member, checks are to require 2 signatures. The signatures may be from 1, board treasurer or any executive committee member and the executive director. 2 executive committee members. 3, library executive director plus 1 branch manager.
Library director and one.
So that's a motion?
Would you like me to read that again, or are we moving on? Okay, let's see if I can get it right. Following the AP report approval by any executive committee member, checks are to require 2 signatures. These signatures may be from 1, the board treasurer or any executive committee member plus the director. Second option is 2 executive committee members. The third option is the library executive director plus one branch manager, period.
I second that.
So properly moved and seconded.
And for the record, Mr. Chair, can you identify the executive committee members?
Yes, that's the maintenance liaison, the treasurer, and the chair, and the secretary. And that could be added in the future, or whatever. That's the four.
Would you please show those again?
Yeah, it's the facilities, I can't remember exactly how, but the facilities, but liaison, the secretary, the treasurer, and the chair.
Executive committee members include the facilities executive, secretary, treasurer, and chair.
Yeah, and it's probably best not to list those in the, because they may change over time. I like the language, yeah.
That should be in policy meeting.
Okay.
So we could give them that.
So it references. All right. Any additional questions? Seeing none, then we shall vote. So all in favor of adopting the motion that we will not read again? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, you adopt.
Okay, hang on your seats, we got more. I know, it just gets better. So help me out then. All right, so drop down from C to G on that same page. Currently, it says director is to receive all invoices for approval from the accounting service for payment. Images of invoices are to be linked to e-checks in the accounting software. Well, we're not just going with e-checks anymore, so now we've approved the electronic payment. I would recommend, and we can wordsmith this, that it says director is to receive all invoices for approval from the accounting service for payment. Images of invoices are to be linked in the accounting software to payments, whether check or paid electronically. Yes?
And if you could make sure to use your microphone.
You could probably just leave out the definition and stop, because again, that may change as well. I mean, there may come a point where we don't have to deal with any checks or e-checks.
So you're saying images of invoices are to be linked to what?
To payment,
To payment, okay.
and then stop. So, that way it keeps it more, less specific with the same attention that they have to be paid.
So, the recommendation is, director is to receive all invoices for approval from the accounting service for payment. Images of invoices are to be linked to payment.
That says it.
So, I see a motion and a second. Any additional conversation?
Just one clarification. Are we dropping off the last part of that where it says, in the accounting software?
Yes.
Just in case, we bring it in-house, let's say, or,
Okay.
it just makes it less specific. I mean, I think it's it allows for whatever our system is that we're currently using that year or years.
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You adopt.
All right, we're almost there. Policy 603, disbursements. Aren't you glad we don't have to do 604 and 612? So, on 603, make sure I'm in the right place. On page 2, under C, so it's on the flip over, and it's at the top where it says disbursements are to be timely. We're looking at number 3. Currently, it says HRM, which means Human Resources Manager, is to print all checks for payment. Checks are received and signed by the board treasurer, director, and/or secondary board officer. Checks are to be mailed each week. And I probably made this too long, so I need your help. This is what I written for recommendation. Payment of all invoices should be done in a timely manner, ideally in the same week, received either electronically or by check. Or we could probably just say ideally in the same week and leave off the payment type if you want to. HRM is to print any checks for payment. Checks are to require 2 signatures. And we maybe can reference that other policy that would save time and space in the policy manual. And because I listed out different options and then said if the accounts payable report has been approved by board officer, typically the treasurer. So I think if we said payment of all invoices should be done in a timely manner, ideally in the same week received. Yep.
So, if we just keep it, because this is, number C, disbursements are to be timely. So you're defining timely, if possible, within that week. And we already know how they're gonna happen, how they're gonna be signed.
Could we reference that policy? Sure.
As stated in, you know,
Reference, so that would be policy 600.
and policy 600,
So just
H, C,
Yeah, I would recommend not going down the line in case they move. We've got self-referential things that have to change.
So payment of all invoices should be done in a timely manner, ideally in the same week, or just done in a timely manner, ideally in the same week received. Reference policy manual 600, or PM 600.
yeah?
Beth, I would like to change that time frame to a week or 5 business days rather than in the week it's received. If it's received on Friday, it may be difficult to turn it around on Friday. But I think 5 business days or within a calendar week would be timely.
So payment of all invoices should be done in a timely manner, ideally in the calendar week or 5 business days, or within 5 business days of receipt. Reference policy manual 600.
Maybe just as you put it, as opposed to not in the, invoices are to be paid within 5 business days after, paid within 5 business days of receipt, when possible. Which makes us the fastest paying government agency in the world.
Well, we're quasi-government, so maybe that's what makes it faster. Okay, so the recommendation is, or the amendment to the policy manual is payment of all invoices should be paid within 5 business days of receipt. Reference policy manual 600.
So that's a motion.
It's a motion.
Second.
Seeing motion second, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You adopt. And I believe you said that there was no need to take action on the 2 additional agenda items there?
Correct.
All right. So that brings us to review, well, I guess we've already reviewed the financial reports. So is that the conclusion of your report?
That is the conclusion of my report. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. All right, next,
So we are ready, if we can use those funds that we freed up, we are ready to go on the roof on April 6th. If we can approve tonight, then in Smyrna, we can start then, and I've worked with Cass, and we most likely will need 3 days at bridge to be closed because so we need to get approval from that to do it. Am I correct about that? And of course, we're dealing with weather and outside during storm season, so I don't want to say these days will be closed, but rather we are going to allot this many days for closures, and that gives us freedom to deal with the weather.
So do you need more than 3 days or just 3 days?
No, we really just need a day and a half, so.
So the executive director can close a library for up to 3 days.
Okay.
Without action of the board.
That's good. Okay.
To 5 days, I'm sorry, 5 days.
And that will definitely cover us.
Okay. Now, do we need to make a motion for the amount of money?
Yes, so we need to make a motion, I'd like to make a motion for us to allocate $106,980 for the replacement of the Smyrna.
So I have a quick question for you before that motion's official. Would it maybe be a good idea to ask, kind of round up and put a cushion in there in case they run into something?
Yes, I actually like to have a 10% cushion. I don't think we need that, but I would actually like to say 120,000 to be safe, so we're covered. So I'd like to make a motion for 120,000 for the Smyrna roof.
Seeing that motion, is there a second?
Second.
Seeing that motion, second. Additional discussion, questions?
I have a question. I know that we received a couple of emails, Allison, that said the city of Smyrna was going to pay for the roof. Is that true?
So if Ms. Duffield might be a better one to answer that. I think though originally they wanted to pay for the capital improvement, but they wanted to know where we were in our fund balance in order to approve. If we're dipping under our fund balance, they would approve it, or whatever portion thereof gets us under the fund balance. However, after Ms. Duffield discovered these funds, it seems like a better use of our resources to just go ahead and spend down what we have versus asking for the town of Smyrna. Am I right about that?
Yes, they would reimburse us, but they would reimburse us only for what we dipped into our fund balance. So I think from a due diligence standpoint, it makes the most sense for us to use the funds we have. And in case something else happens, we look good in the eyes of the town of Smyrna, saying, we didn't come asking for you, we didn't cry poor when we had it in our coffers. We're gonna spend this down, and then if something else happens, we ain't got nothing left, so we're gonna need your help.
Should we expect the town of Smyrna to pay us back?
Well, I think that what Beth is saying is that we're taking care of our own. So we're going to take care of this ourselves. And that way, if we get into a situation where we do need something from the town of Smyrna, we will have done the work of taking care of our own when we have those funds.
Additional conversation? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to allocate the spending of $120,000 for roof repair at Smyrna. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You adopt. Is that the end of your report?
And that is the end of my report.
Wonderful. I look forward to seeing the pictures of the new roof that you have taken. So.
Allison, when did you say they were gonna start pending crazy weather?
April 6th.
All right, so now that brings us to staff reports. Ms. James?
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. You have the staff reports in your board packet. Do you have any questions?
explain to us one more time how the patron count is generated? The patron count for February seems remarkably high.
Patron count is what is recorded by the software that is at the doors, the door counter software. And in our smaller libraries, it is done by hand.
So this is like a laser trip, so whenever somebody walks in, it counts them once, and then when they walk out, it counts them once?
No.
No, it only counts walking in. Okay.
And we had the Bluey Day in February, which was like an 895 people came on Saturday. So there's that. I mean, don't discount Bluey,
No,
okay?
apparently we should not discount Bluey, so, thank you. All right, any additional questions for staff, for Ms. James? All right,
Thank you.
seeing none, we will move forward.
I got a quick question.
Oh, yes, please.
Would it be an issue, like, with the counts? How would, could we do something like, instead of doors, when they come in the door, if we can do, people that do like books, like the person that check out a book, not like the same person check out 6 books, 7 books, but like that one person come in and check out one book, and then we count it that way instead of just coming through the door, because you know some people that may come in, may use the bathroom, or may come in and do certain other things, but how would that work?
Well, we're already collecting circulation statistics at the desk when a person checks out a book. I don't know how we would be able to differentiate between someone walking in unless we just stand there and ask them, you know, what service are you coming in? I don't know how to change that.
Yeah, I believe the circulation number is on that report, isn't it?
It is.
So it's listed as registered, oh no, registered borrowers are the people that are active card holders, or those are the people that actually check out a book that month?
That is the folks that are getting your new library cards.
Well, there's new cards below that.
Registered borrowers is card holders, and then new cards is below that. My apologies.
Okay, so the total circulation, is that the number of items that were checked out?
For the month, yes, sir.
And that includes digital and physical?
Yes.
Okay, I believe I requested some additional information. Do we think that's going to be able to be produced? That would help clarify some of this?
We have put emails into our vendors for our ebooks to see what type of reports can be generated so that we can differentiate between e-checkouts and physical checkouts.
So this could theoretically be 34,000 for February. That could be 30,000 people checking out digital assets, and their home library is selected to be line ball. And 4,000 people checking out physical assets, or vice versa. It could be the other way too. It could be 30,000 people checking out physical and 4,000 checking out digital.
Yes, sir.
I have a question too. If I know that there's a big meeting room upstairs in the library, so if someone comes in, a community member comes in for a meeting upstairs, are they counted as a patron count?
Yes.
All right, any additional questions for Ms. James? Becky?
I would just say that I think, and I've asked for a lot of data as well, I think the value for this data for me to really drill down to know how many people are using the library and how they're using the library comes into play as we will have to revisit the budget a little bit later this year. So the more data we can have up front, the better. I know Sam and one of our meeting, I think, with Smyrna, we talked about using economic development tool, Placer AI, that the city and county uses for all kinds of GIS-related activities. but that can possibly give us a further drill down on actual usage, like who's really coming into the library, not who, it's
The count. of
the
people.
count, so that we really get a better understanding of the number of folks using the library, all of our branches, by month, by year. So again, that can help inform our decisions as we are having to make hard decisions about our budget.
All right, any additional questions? All right, thank you, Ms. James. All right, moving to the next item on the agenda. So, the next item is old business. And this is, 5 policies that we have brought up and discussed in the past, but the board has been rather busy doing other things and has not taken action on. So, we brought these back up on the agenda. These are all policies that are American Library Association policies that are, I believe, verbatim what was submitted by the American Library Association or was provided by the American Library Association as template policies, and they were adopted in 2000, I believe. So the discussion was, in the past, we talked about repealing these policies. So is there a motion?
Can I have a point of information before we have a motion?
Sure.
I wasn't on the board when y'all started first talking about changing these policies. Could you just give me a little background on what exactly the policies you want to change or differences you want to see as a board?
Well, some people were on the board during that process, so feel free to speak up if you disagree. But I think that there was a general consensus, or at least several members that look at the policies and say, okay, we're not a member of the American, we're not, as a library or as a system, we're not a member of the American Library Association. So why are we adopting their policies? I think there was also some redundancy, and there's some things mentioned in the policies that are inconsistent with other parts of our policies and other things that practice that the library is under. So it was really an attempt to, remove complexity and also to just say, hey, we're not a part of that association, so we should be using their documents in our policy. But feel free to correct me if anybody has kind of a different position.
Yes, I think the idea was the Library Bill of Rights. We don't need a Library Bill of Rights. We have the U.S. Bill of Rights.
Please don't interrupt the meeting.
And the U.S. Bill of Rights supersedes any other. The ALA Code of Ethics, we have policy 501 that talks about our library ethics. The Freedom to Read Statement 105, we have the First Amendment, which again supersedes anything else. Policy Manual, or PM 106, Freedom to View Statement, again, the First Amendment covers that. And then PM 107, the ALA Guidelines for Development of Policies, Procedures regarding behavior and library usage. We have extensive policies, 300 through 307, that covers all of that. And I have spoken with the state archivist, Jamie Ritter, just to make sure that from a state standpoint, that there's nothing in our code. I've also read the entire Tennessee Code annotated regarding libraries, and there's nothing in there that requires us to follow ALA guidelines.
Can I ask about the benefit? The ALA has been around a long time, I know. Can someone, perhaps one of our librarians, someone on the board, tell me the benefits of the ALA and being members of the ALA?
Before we move,
Yes.
we don't have a motion on the floor
Okay.
to debate yet. So is there a motion on these?
I'd like to propose a motion, based on what I recall from the conversations that we've had in the past on those particular policies, and I thought Beth did an excellent job summarizing those, that as a whole, there is a lot of repetitiveness from the levels that Beth just outlined. And I would make a motion that we make a blanket vote to disregard these policies in lieu of the documents that were mentioned by Beth.
All right, so you're just to clarify your motion, you're moving to repeal the policies that are listed en blanc or all in one. Is that what
Yes,
you're?
That's my motion.
All right, so the motion, just to make sure we're all kind of, because this is parliamentary procedures, not something done very often, but what they're doing is he's moving to combine several items on the agenda into one vote. So that's what he has made that motion, that we repeal all the items that are listed on the agenda here, having to do with policy, and that we do it en blanc or in one vote. So that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seeing a motion and a second, discussion. So actually, I'm going to come back
Thank you.
to Allison and
Yes.
let her ask her question.
And who can I ask the librarians that? What is,
So Ms. James is.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, she's a de facto member of the board, so she can speak when directed questions are to her.
so, Ms. James?
Yes, hi. ALA, besides strategic and legal protections, they also provide us professional and financial benefits. With cost savings, they provide exclusive discounts on professional publications, webinars, and national conferences. With grants, they provide various grants and fellowships that fund local programming, research, and travel for librarians, as well as programs for the public. Insurance and business resources. We have access to specialized library insurance and affinity programs that save money on office supplies, technology, and shipping for our UPS delivery person that we know by first names right now. And our managerial tools, they provide access to expert human resources and management tools, including salary surveys and leadership and development resources. And I just want the board to understand that the library itself does not pay for the membership. We as librarians, we pay for our own membership from our own money. The library does not pay for the memberships of the librarians.
And so, I had someone from the Friends of the Library actually reach out and say they'd be willing to pay the dues for all our branches. So I guess my first question is, if we are getting rid of ALA policies because we are not members of the ALA, why don't we just become members of the ALA and that provide all those sort of guidance and why not do that?
Any additional questions, comments?
Comment, clarification, my motion had no reference to our membership or non-membership. It had to do with repetitiveness of policies that we already have and that are already available in governmental law.
So I don't see where we have that information in our policy. That it says we oppose censorship, we collaborate with individuals, no one will be denied the use of the library because of the origin of each background. Where do we have that? Where do we have that?
Which number are you speaking to?
Okay, I'm looking at 103.
103 is covered by the U.S. Bill of Rights.
Yeah, but it's not stated in our policy. It's not stated in our policy, so if you
Read the entire policy manual?
if you,
Have you read the entire policy manual?
no, I haven't been provided a copy.
You have been provided a copy, but all board members were provided a copy of it, and it's on the website. I'm sorry.
Okay, so can you enlighten me a little bit as to where it is?
I'm sorry, Lynn, she's been recognized.
Thank you. that was what I was trying to say earlier. If we are not part of this association and this is here, if we choose and we vote to amend this, we would have to add in our manual what is the Bill of Rights and all the other things that are supposed to be there as well. If we're going to use that as counterpart of what this is saying. So that her question is being answered at some level because we already have it in our Constitution. We already have it in the Bill of Rights. So that needs to be added to our manual.
I think Angela has a question.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to wait for you to recognize me. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have looking over the different ALA policies on the agenda. There's the scalpel version, and then there's the sledgehammer version. Is that correct? I, like Lynn, am concerned if we're going to take the sledgehammer approach, what is replacing that policy? Because I'm concerned if we take away the policies that outline, what sort of resources we're going to add and the protections there, that we're opening ourselves up again to perhaps litigation of some kind or complaint of some kind, because you have to have a policy to back up, collection development rules and things like that. So what is replacing this? If we're going to just sledgehammer the ALA, what are the other policies that would take the place of these if we're going to get rid of them?
Sure. We have a collections policy, and I think that the point of tonight's discussion is it's our responsibility to review the policy manual annually, and so that's what we're doing, and we're starting at the top. We have a collections manual, or policy. Policy 300 through 307 covers pretty much everything else that is included. We don't need a right to read. As U.S. citizens, we have the right to read. We don't need that stated by any other policies in our manual. We can put the Bill of Rights in the manual if we want to. My opposition to these policies is that the ALA does not reflect the values of our community as a whole. It is
Please don't be disruptive.
I will just state again that the values of the ALA, if you have researched them, do not reflect the values of our community as a whole. If librarians choose to continue with their memberships, I think that's great. But we are not members of the ALA, so the library board does not benefit from the benefits that Ms. James outlined.
I've also looked, and the ALA takes political positions in a lot of different manners. They oppose book challenges, they oppose social and cultural topics, and they take issue with public policy statements. And I'm not sure that the ALA represents what Rutherford County stands for.
And I just want to speak to the crowd also just for a minute. It is really disruptive. No matter what side of this issue I'm on, it's really disruptive. So when you say the community, ALA doesn't represent the community, that's a bit bold statement because you don't speak for the community. I'm part of the community, you're part of the community, you're part of the community, you're part of the community, and all the people here. And we all have our own prism with which we look at things. That having been said, I just wanted to say that feels like an overstatement to me. But if we eliminate the language that identifies that the ALA is associated with this, can we take this information, because I think there's a lot of excellent information in this policy. It's that it happens to have been adopted by from the ALA, saying things like no one will be denied the right to use a library. Now, to say that it's stated in the Constitution of the United States and that it's in our Bill of Rights is really disingenuous, because if you go to any company in the United States, it has a policy of whether or not it is, doing business. Look at the, human rights, but human resource, the fact they have human resource departments, the fact that they write all this stuff up is because it needs to be stated that we don't discriminate in this particular organization, that we do allow these different things, public meeting rooms, exhibit spaces. We oppose it, censorship and, access to information ideas. However we want to adopt that, just throwing it out wholesale, as opposed to editing it to reflect perhaps this body's a little more wordsmith, feels really scary to me. It leaves this huge, huge gap inside our policies. Huge gap. Now, if you want us to literally take the Constitution of the United States, print it in here, take the Bill of Rights and print it in our policy manual, if that's literally going to be a motion, then it seems a little quirky, but, okay. But we cannot just take out everything of value that it happens to be attached to the American Library Association's Code of Ethics. There's a lot of, it's the baby with the bathwater moment here, If we think that the highest level of service that library uses to appropriate and usefully organized resources, equitable service policies, is a bad thing, then we have a discussion on the table. And I'm not just trying to be a pain in the neck here. I really wholeheartedly think this is mismanagement of power to just cross off everything that has to do, and please don't interrupt, has everything to do with, the proper use of a public institution of the library. It doesn't have to do with children's books. This has to do with policy. And if you don't like the ALA, fine. I'm not going to go to the mat over the ALA. I am going to go to the mat over the fact that we leave a huge gap. And to be just stating that it's against the law of the United States is just wrong. Because it needs to be in our policy. It needs to be in our policy.
Angela.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to try to place this conversation around the First Amendment. There is a thing of freedom of association. The ALA is not required for anyone to be a member of the ALA. Many librarians are personal members of the ALA. Some libraries are organizational members of the ALA. I do think it would be a benefit for this library to be an organizational member of the ALA. Like we were saying before, there are benefits, there are grant opportunities and things that can be applied for, as well as training, as everyone has already said. But, I noticed during public comment, a couple of people mentioned, like the American Medical Association, the Plastic Surgeon Association. They are relying on those as experts in their fields, so they use those as, evidence in their public comment. The American Library Association has been operating since the 1800s, and it is the premier library association of North America, actually, not just the United States of America. And if you have a degree that is ALA accredited, you can get a job in most libraries in North America, Australia, Europe. America is seen as an expert in library services. So I'm just trying to make a point here that we are trying to, for some reason, disconnect ourselves from the professional organization of librarians and libraries, and it feels like it is due to personal disagreements and viewpoint disagreements with the ALA, and that, to me, is, not a benefit to the citizens of Rutherford County. And my second question would be to Ms. James is, would you recommend us severing these policies?
No.
Thank you, that's all I need, Mr. Chair.
Jeff, I believe Jeff was,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Again, the motion on the floor is related to repetitiveness, not necessarily ALA. The desire of policy simplification is to remove repetitive language and behavior under the management of our library system. And as we no longer have an affiliation, that's just a stepping stone to the reality that we already were moving towards simplification of how we manage our library. We're relying on the policies and procedures that are in place. We're relying on governmental regulations that far supersede anything that I've read in these policies, as were referenced in several of the public comments about First Amendment, Bill of Rights that are in the United States, etc., that are very well able to manage what we need to do, that is included in this documentation that, as I said in my motion, repetitive and not necessary for us to be effective and efficient. And that was one of the main reasons I signed on to be a board member, was to improve efficiency and repetitiveness in the way we manage our libraries.
I've got Susan, and then I'll come back to you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I call for the question.
Okay, so there's a motion, question, is there a second? So she's calling the questions, which would end debate, and we move to a vote. So there's a motion, is there a second? Seeing a motion and a second, all in favor of calling previous questions, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I didn't understand what the question was that we were voting on. Could you state it for me?
Yes, so she's made a motion to end debate and call a vote on the question at hand. The question at hand is to repeal the motion made to repeal the policies listed in one vote, in block.
So we're gonna end debate and then vote.
Yes, so this is the vote to end debate. So all in favor in ending debate, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, all right, so the ayes have it. So now we will move immediately to a vote, so.
Can we have a roll call vote, please, Mr.
Yes,
Chair?
we'll do a roll call vote. Give Elsa 1 second to do a roll call vote, ready? All right.
Ms. Bell,
Opposed.
Mr. Curtis, Ms. Duffel,
Agreed.
Ms. Frederick,
Opposed.
Mr. Huddleston,
Yes.
Ms. Piazza,
Agree.
Ms. Quisenberry,
Agree.
Ms. Reynolds, Mr. Thomas,
Agreed.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes.
Okay, it's 8 and
Yes, so you adopt. All right, moving to the next item on the agenda. It is the request for reconsideration of materials. This is the items submitted by the board members. I believe you have those in your packet as well as they were emailed to you. And I believe they ended up being 2 lists that were submitted. And one of those lists I submitted, and so I'll explain a little bit about the format of the table. So the table has, along with the title, it's got the 2 action items. One is a state action, so if we operate under the age appropriateness standard that the Secretary of State office has talked about in his review, as well as just in general, the state allows libraries to determine age appropriateness and make sure they're providing books that are age appropriate. So under that age-appropriate standard, the vast majority of these items would be moved to the adult section with the exception of the last 3 items on the list, which would be to be moved to young adult. All of the items promote gender confusion in some way, except for the last 3 items, and those were based on they were pretty gory. They were gory violence, including cannibalism, quite a bit of violent imageries, and it's really not appropriate for young children. So those 3, I'm making the recommendation to move to the adult section. So that's the age-appropriate standard. If we want to operate and consider the presidential executive order, and then that would, all of the books except for the last 3 titles would be to be removed from the library. So I will act, and then I guess the best thing to do would be to act on these lists independently. What's the third one? Yeah. So it might be, well, I guess all of those also are moved to adult, so maybe we can just act on them all at one time. But these 2 are the lists recommended. What are the board wants to make a motion?
I have a point of clarification. I
Yeah,
think that's how
I
you say it.
Okay, go ahead.
So I did go over the books, and one on your list was Harlem Hellfighters that you said promoted gender confusion. Can you tell me where in Harlem Hellfighters there's gender confusion?
If you give me a moment, I can look up exactly what I was
Okay.
looking at there, so.
Because I had the librarians do requests for reconsideration